Now, many of you already know that Nio and Jack, ladies and gents, they are about to come to an end, or their partnership agreement is about to come to an end starting the first half of 2024. Now, the Jack, it is the company that has been producing the vehicles for Nio, and as we've been discussing on this channel, ladies and gents, this is a company that Nio was paying around $1,260 per car they produce. This is something that, of course, it was the agreement which Nio had with Jack, and you will know that the first factory, which, ladies and gents, it is called Jack Nio, that was the factory that most of the Nio vehicles were produced, and Jack was the one producing those cars. So these are $1,260, or this is the average of course price per car that Nio paid to Jack for the year 2022. Now, with the partnership of Nio and Jack coming to an end, the question that has been on investors' minds is if whether Nio will acquire the assets to get the licensing to produce their own car, as Nio does not have the license to produce the cars, or go and of course start a new partnership with the third party to come and of course produce the Nio cars, since Nio does not have of course the license to produce their cars, which of course in yesterday's video so we discussed of course the negatives that comes when Nio goes to get the third party to come produce their cars. We won't go through them again, just go watch the video I did yesterday. But one of the good things that, ladies and gents, was a positive is that should Nio acquire the assets, or should Nio get of course the license to produce their own car, that was going to be good news, which this morning, ladies and gents, we just read a report confirming that Nio, ladies and gents, acquired a company by the name of Leopard, who, ladies and gents, have this license to produce the car. And with Nio, ladies and gents, acquiring this company, it therefore means that Nio right now has a license to produce the cars. This is good news, because this buyout that we just read about today of Nio, of course acquiring this Leopard company, makes Nio to have the minimum requirements, or qualifies Nio to produce their own cars, which is pretty good and massive news, because with this step, or with this acquisition that Nio just did right now, it makes them to of course be able to manufacture or produce their own cars, which of course we know that they are going to also acquire the assets which they had with Jack, or the assets that Jack owned, which by the way are roughly around $600 million, which I don't think is supposed to be a problem. And then that will mean that Nio owns 100% of their factory. They can produce their cars, which, ladies and gents, that will result in the Nio not only generating more revenues, or not only generating this $1,260 which they were paying to Jack Nio per car, but this will be a very big catalyst for Nio reaching profitability in 2024. But of course, before we dig deeper into this video, you already know that this video is just an entertainment video and not a professional financial advice video. I really appreciate if you can just hit the like button if you are enjoying the content that I'm giving you about Nio acquiring or doing a buyout on a company by the name of Leopard, who, ladies and gents, it is a company that had a license to produce their own cars, but 2021 they filed for bankruptcy, which, to know that Nio right now sort of like owns that company, it opens a big door for Nio to become profitable, as they now will be paying themselves, or instead of paying that $1,260,000 to the third party, they will be retaining all that money, and that, ladies and gents, will make Nio to become profitable in the year 2024. I cannot wait to see Nio getting there, and I believe that this is a big catalyst. These are massive news, because say for instance 2024 Nio is to sell around 200,000 vehicles. It therefore means if you were to multiply 200,000 against the $1,260 per car which they were paying to a third party, it means that Nio, ladies and gents, will have an additional revenue of around $240 million over and above, of course, the revenues that they would generate from their usual cars that gets produced, or the kind of revenues they were generating from these cars by the kind of rate they are producing at, or they are being produced at. They will have an additional 240 million added to their revenues, which is something that personally I believe that it is good news, because gross margins are going to improve. Profitability, it is something that it is a showcase that next year, starting Q3, Q4, there is a high chance that we could see Nio turning into a profitable company. And this is because you know that the contract between JEC and Nio for the F1 factory, ladies and gents, and that is the JEC Nio factory, it's supposed to come to an end around May of 2024, which from Q3 or from June going forward, Nio, chances are very high that they will be producing those vehicles by themselves, meaning that all the vehicles that are supposed to come from that factory, Nio will be retaining this $1,260 per car, which that is why I'm saying come Q3 of 2024, we might see Nio turning to be profitable, which is something that, like I said, it is good news. So I'm very excited about this whole thing. And ladies and gents, these, like I said, are massive news. The buyout of Nio, of this leopard company, ladies and gents, it is massive news, because ladies and gents, Nio, it is that company that 2024 just got more brighter. Those many analysts that thought Nio is not only going to become profitable or turn profit to profitability in 2025, ladies and gents, they just got a very big surprise, and that is a surprise of Nio could turn to a profitable company in 2024. This is good news, ladies and gents. These are massive news, because imagine over and above the revenues that we've been seeing Nio generating, that revenue is to be boosted. So this is good news, because by the end of this, of course, contract of Nio with JEC, Nio will be generating, or could be generating, almost $100 million per quarter. And that is by the time we get to 2025, when they, of course, also terminate the contract on their second factory, and that is the Nio Park. Ladies and gents, this is bullish, or this kind of news are bullish, especially knowing that, of course, this 200,000 that I just estimated here, it is of probably a lower side of the guidance, checking at the kind of deliveries we could see coming from Nio for the year 2024. I mean, I'm excited, because second half of 2024, you will know that Nio will be starting to sell their sub brand, which is more cheaper for the mass market, which is expected to do very well. So I'm very excited about this kind of news, because gross margins are going to increase. Profitability, we might see it in Q3 of 2024. And this, ladies and gents, as a new investor, makes me to be really excited, because ladies and gents, we are going to see, or finally see, blue sky in 2024, and that is, of course, is going to make all the investors that invest into Nio to be very excited, because Nio would have reached profitability way before analysts expected, which is something that is bullish to me. So it is for this reason I'm saying these news are the kind of news that are so massive. These are the biggest news, or these are the kind of news that, to me, this year they will stand out, because we have not received such massive news like this year. This is the news that, if you have to forget everything that happened on Nio for the year 2023, you are to remember this, and that is the news of Nio potentially generating, of course, or bringing an additional of 240 million annually, which is something that, ladies and gents, blue sky is coming, and those that persevere throughout the headwinds of this Nio stock are most definitely going to be rewarded in the longer term. Those of the people that have been mocking Nio, I think it's time you come to your senses and realize the potential that lies within this stock. Nio, it is the stock which is set for greatness, and those that are owning or continue acquiring more shares, they will be rewarded in the longer term, because, as I'm saying once again, blue sky is coming. Otherwise, that's all from me, and I wish you nothing but the best in your stock market investing journey, and God bless you all.